the silent watchers. The war had raged for 300 years, and the galaxy had grown weary of the endless cycle of destruction. In the vast council chambers of Station Omega-7, representatives from 43 species gathered to discuss the ongoing conflict between the Zephyrian Empire and the Crystalline Collective. The air shimmered with translation fields as dozens of languages merged into a cacophony of frustrated voices. Ambassador Colothas of the Zephyrian Empire stood at the center podium, her 6 arms gesturing dramatically as she spoke. Her people were known for their military precision and unwavering loyalty to their cause. The Crystalline Collective has violated the Neutral Zone Accords 17 times this cycle alone, she declared, her voice carrying the authority of a species that had conquered half the galaxy. They must be stopped before they assimilate every free-thinking being in the universe. From the opposite side of the chamber, a towering structure of living crystal pulsed with inner light. Nexus Prime 7, speaking for the Crystalline Collective, responded with the unified voice of millions of connected minds. The Zephyrians seek to impose their chaotic individualism upon ordered existence. We offer unity, purpose, and the elimination of suffering through collective consciousness. This is not aggression, but evolution. The debate continued as it had for decades, with neither side willing to compromise. The other species in the council had long since given up hope of peace, instead focusing on maintaining their own neutrality and protecting their trade routes. None of them noticed the small, unremarkable observation pod that had been stationed at the edge of the system for the past 6 months. Inside the pod, Captain Alina Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Force adjusted her monitoring equipment with practiced efficiency. Her dark hair was pulled back in a regulation bun, and her brown eyes reflected the glow of dozens of screens displaying real-time data from across the galaxy. She had been watching this conflict unfold for years, part of a secret human initiative to understand galactic politics before making their presence known. "Still think we're making the right choice, staying hidden?" asked Dr. Marcus Chen, the mission's xenobiologist and strategic advisor. He floated in the zero-gravity chamber beside her, his tablet displaying complex behavioral analyses of both warring factions. Despite his casual tone, Alina could see the concern in his eyes. The Global Defense Initiative was clear in their orders, Alina replied, though her voice carried a note of uncertainty. Humanity isn't ready for full galactic contact. We need to understand the political landscape first. She turned back to the screens, watching as the council session devolved into another shouting match. The Zephyrians and Crystalline Collective had been at war for so long that peace seemed impossible. Each side had developed increasingly sophisticated weapons and strategies, turning entire star systems into battlefields. The cost in lives and resources was staggering, yet neither faction would yield. "Alina, you need to see this," Marcus said, his voice suddenly urgent. He had been monitoring deep space communications, something humans had become surprisingly good at thanks to their natural curiosity and adaptability. "I'm picking up a distress signal from the Kepler 442 system. It's not from either of the major factions." Alina quickly brought up the signal on her main display. The transmission was weak but clear, spoken in galactic standard by what sounded like a desperate voice. "This is Colony Administrator Velkoth of New Harmony. We are under attack by unknown forces. Our children, please, anyone who can hear. We are a neutral colony. We have no weapons, no military value. They're taking our children for experiments. If anyone in the galaxy still believes in mercy, please help us." The transmission cut to static, but its impact on Alina was immediate. She had studied the Kepler 442 system during her training. New Harmony was a mixed-species colony, one of the few places in the galaxy where different races had come together to build something peaceful. It was populated by refugees from the war, families who had lost everything and just wanted to live in peace. Both factions are denying involvement, Marcus reported, his fingers flying across his tablet. But the attack signatures match neither Zephyrian nor crystalline technology. This is something else entirely. Alina stared at the data, her mind racing. The Global Defense Initiative had been preparing for this moment for decades, building up Earth's defenses and technology in secret. They had advanced far beyond what the galaxy believed possible, partly because they had learned from observing other species' mistakes. But their orders were clear: remain hidden until humanity was ready. How long until the next supply ship arrives? She asked. 3 weeks, Marcus replied. But, Alina, you're not seriously thinking. I'm thinking that sometimes doing the right thing means ignoring orders, she interrupted. Contact Earth. Tell them we have a situation that requires immediate intervention. The communication with Earth took several hours due to the distance, but Alina used the time to gather intelligence. The attack on New Harmony wasn't random. The colony possessed something valuable that neither major faction wanted to acknowledge: a peaceful coexistence between species that had been at war for centuries. If successful, it could serve as a model for ending the galactic conflict. When the response from Earth finally came, Alina was both surprised and relieved. Fleet Admiral Sarah Thompson's face appeared on the screen, her expression grim but determined. Captain Rodriguez, the Global Defense Initiative has been following your reports. We've been watching this war tear the galaxy apart while we prepared for the inevitable moment when we'd have to choose a side. Ma'am, the situation has changed, Alina reported. There's evidence of a third faction, one that's targeting peaceful colonies. If we don't act now, we'll lose the chance to make a difference. Admiral Thompson nodded slowly. Captain, I'm authorizing Operation Lighthouse. You are to reveal Earth's presence to the galactic community and offer our assistance in resolving this conflict. The Second Fleet is already en route to your position. Alina felt her heart race. Operation Lighthouse was the contingency plan that had been developed over 20 years of preparation. It involved revealing not just humanity's existence to the galaxy, but their true technological capabilities. Earth had been secretly developing advanced technology by combining their natural innovation with observations of galactic science. Admiral, what about the non-interference protocols? Marcus asked. Dr. Chen, sometimes the greatest act of mercy is to interfere, Thompson replied. We've watched this galaxy tear itself apart for too long. It's time to remind everyone what peace looks like. The next few hours were a blur of preparation. Alina contacted the orbiting council station directly, bypassing all diplomatic channels. When her transmission reached the main council chamber, the effect was immediate. The arguing stopped, replaced by stunned silence as a species none of them had ever seen before appeared on their screens. Honorable representatives of the Galactic Council, Alina began, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was doing. I am Captain Elena Rodriguez of the Human Defense Force, speaking on behalf of the planet Earth and the human species. We have been observing your conflict for some time, and we believe we can help. The chamber erupted in confusion. Ambassador Colothes was the first to recover, her 6 arms crossed in a gesture of suspicion. Humans, we have no record of your species in our databases. How long have you been spying on us? Long enough to know that this war benefits no one, Alina replied. We're offering our assistance in ending it. Nexus Prime 7 pulsed with agitated light. Your species is unknown to us. You possess no fleet, no territory, no political power. What could you possibly offer that we have not already considered? Alina smiled, the expression carrying both confidence and a hint of mystery. We offer perspective, and perhaps something your species have forgotten in 300 years of war, the ability to change. Behind her, the screens showed the approach of something that made even the war-weary galaxy pause. The human fleet emerging from hyperspace was unlike anything the galactic community had ever seen. The ships were sleek and organic-looking, clearly advanced but built on principles that seemed to blend technology with natural design. They moved with a fluid grace that suggested their creators understood space as more than just a void to be conquered. Impossible, whispered one of the council members. Our sensors show technological signatures we don't recognize. Where did they come from? Asked another. Elena's smile widened. We've been here all along. We've been watching, learning, and preparing. Now we're ready to help you find a better way. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the greatest surprise comes from the most unexpected source. Humanity had arrived not as conquerors or desperate refugees, but as something the galaxy had almost forgotten existed: healers. The unexpected variable, the human fleet's arrival, sent shockwaves through the galactic community that were felt from the core worlds to the outer rim territories. In the Zephyrian Empire's military command center, General Thakmare studied the newcomers with the calculating eye of a warrior who had never lost a battle. The human ships defied everything his species understood about space combat design. They're not following standard fleet formations, reported his tactical officer, confusion evident in his voice. Their positioning seems random, but our computers can't predict their movement patterns. What about their weapon signatures? Thakmare asked. That's the strange part, sir. Our sensors indicate they're armed, but we can't identify the weapon types. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases. Meanwhile, in the crystalline collective's shared consciousness, millions of minds processed the arrival of humanity with growing unease. The collective prided itself on its ability to analyze and understand all variables, but these newcomers presented data that didn't fit any known patterns. They are individuals, Nexus Prime 7 reported to the greater consciousness, yet they move with coordination that suggests deeper unity than mere military discipline. This is ... disturbing. Back on the human flagship, the US Endeavour, Alina stood in the command center, surrounded by her crew. The ship's design reflected humanity's approach to space travel, functional beauty that prioritized both efficiency and the psychological well-being of its occupants. Large viewports showed the stars outside, while living plants grew in carefully maintained gardens throughout the ship. Captain, we're receiving communications from both factions, reported Lieutenant Commander James Park, the ship's communications officer. They're both demanding explanations about our technology and our intentions. Alina nodded, having expected this reaction. Dr. Chen, are you ready with the cultural analysis? Marcus looked up from his workstation, where he had been compiling data on both species. As ready as we can be. The Zephyrians value strength and honor above all else. They'll respect us only if we prove ourselves in combat. The crystalline collective, on the other hand, values logic and efficiency. They'll be more interested in our knowledge than our military capabilities. And that's exactly why neither of them has been able to end this war, Alina observed. They're both right. but they're also both incomplete. She activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships, this is Captain Rodriguez. We're about to attempt something that's never been done before. We're going to stop a galactic war, not through superior firepower, but through superior understanding. Remember your training, trust your instincts, and let's show the galaxy what humans can do when we work together. The first test came sooner than expected. Long-range sensors detected a massive battle developing in the Tau Ceti system, where both factions were fighting over control of a strategic hyperspace junction. The battle had been raging for 6 hours, with neither side gaining a decisive advantage. "This is our chance," Alina announced. "We intervene now, while both sides are exhausted and depleted." The human fleet moved with unprecedented speed and coordination. Unlike other species who had developed hyperspace travel through gradual technological advancement, humans had approached it from an entirely different angle. They had studied the problem not just as engineers, but as artists, biologists, and philosophers. The result was a form of space travel that was not only faster than anything the galaxy had seen, but also more intuitive and adaptable. As the human ships emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Tau Ceti system, both warring fleets paused in their battle. The newcomers' arrival had been so sudden and unexpected that both sides momentarily stopped fighting to assess this new threat. "Attention all vessels," Alina broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Captain Rodriguez of the Human Defense Force. We are ordering an immediate ceasefire." The response was immediate and predictable. "Unknown vessels, you have no authority in this system," came the reply from the Zephyrian fleet commander. "Withdraw immediately or be destroyed." The Crystalline Collective's response was equally dismissive. "Unidentified biological entities, your interference is not logical. This conflict has strategic importance that your species cannot comprehend." Alina had expected this reaction. Dr. Chen initiates a demonstration. What happened next would be discussed in galactic military academies for centuries. The human fleet didn't attack either side directly. Instead, they did something completely unprecedented. They began to dance. The ships moved in patterns that seemed random at first, but gradually revealed themselves to be incredibly sophisticated. They wove between the two fleets, never threatening but always present, creating a three-dimensional pattern that was both beautiful and strategically brilliant. The humans were demonstrating something that neither warring faction had considered, that space combat could be an art form. "They're not targeting us," the Zephyrian commander reported in confusion, "but they're disrupting our firing solutions without blocking our weapons. How is this possible?" The Crystalline Collective was equally perplexed. Their movement patterns serve no logical military purpose, yet they are achieving tactical superiority without firing a single shot. This requires analysis. Alina watched the unfolding demonstration with satisfaction. The human fleet was using a combination of advanced technology and intuitive understanding of space dynamics to create what military theorists would later call active pacification. They were making it impossible for either side to continue fighting without actually stopping them from doing so. "Captain, we're being hailed by both fleet commanders," reported Lieutenant Park. "They want to speak with you simultaneously." "Put them through," Alina ordered. The main screen split to show both commanders. On one side, the scarred and battle-hardened face of Zephyrian Admiral Orcs. On the other, the crystalline features of Collective Node Commander Axis 12. Both looked frustrated and confused. "What is the meaning of this interference?" Admiral Orcs demanded. "Your tactics serve no logical purpose," Axis 12 added. State your objectives. Alina smiled calmly. Our objective is simple: to end this war. But not through conquest or assimilation. Through understanding. Impossible, both commanders said simultaneously, then glared at each other for the unintended. Synchronization, is it? Alina asked. You've been fighting for 300 years. In all that time, has either of you asked why the other side fights? The question hung in the silence. Alina continued, Admiral Kethrox, your people fight for freedom and the right to choose their own destiny. Node Commander Axis 12, your people fight to end suffering and bring order to chaos. These aren't contradictory goals, they're complementary ones. You understand nothing about our conflict, Admiral Kethrox snarled. Perhaps not, Alina admitted. But I understand something about solutions. Dr. Chen, show them the new Harmony data. The screens filled with images from the attacked colony. Both commanders watched in silence as the data revealed the true scope of the tragedy. Families torn apart, children taken for unknown experiments, peaceful communities destroyed not by either major faction, but by someone else entirely. There's a third player in this game, Alina explained. Someone who benefits from keeping you at war. While you fight each other, they're targeting the peaceful colonies, the places where your species might learn to coexist. Admiral Kethrox leaned forward. You have proof of this. We have evidence, Alina replied. But more importantly, we have a solution. Join us in tracking down the real enemy. Work together, just once, and see what you can accomplish. The silence stretched for long moments. Finally, Node Commander Axis 12 spoke. This collaboration, it would be temporary. A tactical alliance only. Of course, Alina agreed. But sometimes temporary solutions become permanent ones. What followed was the most unlikely alliance in galactic history. Human ships worked alongside Zephyrian warriors and crystalline collective drones, tracking the mysterious third faction through hyperspace. The humans provided coordination and strategic insight, while their new allies contributed their extensive knowledge of galactic politics and military capabilities. The trail led to a hidden base in the Vega system, where they discovered something that shocked even the battle-hardened veterans of the Galactic War. The mysterious attackers weren't a new species at all, but a collection of extremists from both factions working together to perpetuate the conflict. They had been staging false flag operations, attacking neutral colonies, and manipulating both sides to keep the war going. They wanted us to fight forever, Admiral Kethrox said, in disbelief as they studied the evidence. Perpetual conflict meant perpetual power for those who controlled the war machine. Axis 12 added, its crystalline form pulsing with what could only be described as anger. Alina nodded gravely. War is profitable for some, but peace is profitable for everyone. The question is, what do you want to do about it? The answer came in the form of the most decisive military action in galactic history. The combined human Zephyrian crystalline fleet struck the hidden base with overwhelming force, but more importantly, they did it together, for the first time. In 3 centuries, the galaxy's 2 greatest powers worked as allies rather than enemies. When the dust settled, something remarkable had happened. The war that had raged for 300 years ended not with a decisive victory, but with a handshake. Admiral Kethrox and Node Commander Axis 12 stood together in the human flagship's conference room, planning not for the next battle, but for the next phase of galactic civilization. Your species has given us something we thought was lost, Admiral Kethrox said to Alina. Hope, You showed us that efficiency and compassion are not mutually exclusive, Axis 12 added. This is a valuable lesson. Alina smiled, looking out at the stars where human ships now flew alongside former enemies turned allies. That's what humans do best. We adapt, we learn, and we find ways to bring different perspectives together. Welcome to the family. The galaxy had learned that sometimes the greatest strength comes not from the mightiest weapon or the most advanced technology, but from the simple recognition that different doesn't mean enemy. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not as conquerors, but as healers, and in doing so, they had reminded the universe what it meant to be truly civilized. In the months that followed, the human approach to problem-solving would revolutionize galactic society. Trade routes reopened, colonies were rebuilt, and for the first time in centuries, the galaxy began to heal. The war was over, but the peace that followed was even more remarkable than the conflict that had preceded it. Humanity had proven that sometimes the best way to win a war is to help everyone else realize they don't need to fight it.